We're here at WCIA in the podcasting room for Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey.
Kind of a new thing with trying to do the video with this, which should be a little bit of fun. If you don't want to just hear our voices and you want to see our sunshiny, smiling faces, here we are.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an exciting week.
It has been.
I'm freaking exhausted.
Well, yeah, when you go out, to California and you're, rubbing shoulders with people, it's high energy stuff.
It is. He's referring to the Critics' Choice Awards that we just got back from in LA. Actually, it was in Beverly Hills this year.
Yep.
New venue for the Critics' Choice. Apparently, it was an old venue that we were not aware of.
Right. I guess it was something that had been used, and they shut it down. They renovated it. Beautiful place, the Fairmont Plaza on Century Boulevard. I don't know. I had a feeling, though, maybe I was wrong. The room seemed smaller this year.
Oh, absolutely. It was smaller.
Yeah. Because, we usually do it. They usually held it out at the airport in Santa Monica. And, of course, an airport hangar.
Right.
It has a feeling of vastness in it. But I had some great people there. We met Will Smith, Venus Williams, Michael Coulter, Pam's new favorite actor.
One of my favorite photos, actually.
Michael Keaton, Melanie Linsky.
Yeah.
Who else did we meet? Not Michelle Williams. Go ahead.
Oh, and I do the same thing with her.
Because I mix her up too, and I love her as well.
I do too. Carrie Mulligan.
Carrie Mulligan, yes, very gracious.
Yeah, and Jared Leto. And I'm watching his new series, We Crashed, with Anne Hathaway right now.
What's that on?
That is on Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yep,
Okay, good.
yep. And then who else did I meet that I was just kind of like Gaga over? Lady Gaga was not there.
No, she was not.
But yeah, it was like every which way you turned. I ran into
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy, exactly. Kind of a funny little story. And I am out of my element when I go to these things. I definitely am.
Not, but you think you are.
Well, I feel like I am,
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, talk about out of your element. I stuttered up a storm with him. Cannot wait for him to come for Ebert Fest and have a chance to talk with him about his films and filmmaking career, really.
Yeah.
Every which way you turned, there was a star and another star and another star. A little easier access, I think, this year than it has been in the past. What we didn't see is a bunch of bodyguards around people.
We did not, and that was so refreshing.
It really was.
So refreshing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was nice.
And with the exception of tripping up an escalator and landing on Michael Keaton's tush, everything went quite smoothly.
Grace, I got to tell you, it was a wonderful, and that was at the end of the evening.
It was, and I wasn't drinking very much. It wasn't because I was drunk. It has nothing to do with that.
It was a dress malfunction.
It was a dress and shoe.
Long dress, shoes, escalator. It was just a perfect storm.
Teeth, and I still have a
perfect storm.
Major contusion.
But you handled it well.
Oh, to be honest with you, I kind of blurred
it. Did you black it out?
I know I didn't make eye contact with him. I was just mortified, and I know his wife or significant other was looking at me like, what the hell is your problem? That's all I can remember.
He handled it well. You handled it well.
So then we are on to, we've got the Oscars coming up. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast and what's going to happen with that. And then what else do we have? We've got 2 new movies opening or streaming, and then we've got one that you have seen and I have not, and one that I have seen and you have not.
Correct.
So let's start off with the biggie, The Lost City.
The Lost City.
Take that one away.
Lost City. Channing Tatum is a male model. He specializes in modeling for these bodice ripper romance books that are written by author played by...
Wait. Bodice ripper? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's what they refer to those books.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because usually, they're set in olden times and the woman is on the cover and her bodice is being... Yeah, bodice ripper.
Okay.
Yeah,
new term for me. Thank you very much.
No problem. And he's on the cover of these books written by Sandra Bullock's character. I don't know the names because they're not important. Loretta Sage, and he's named Dash.
Yes, he is. Alan
Dash. She's over it. She's burnt out. Her husband has died 5 years earlier. She's over this. She doesn't want to be here. But on the latest book tour, she is kidnapped. And she's kidnapped by this guy played by Daniel Radcliffe. What was his name? Abigail? Fairfax. Yeah, he's this multi-gazillionaire, and he's looking for this lost artifact known as the Crown of Fire. And he thinks that in her latest novel, which deals with an adventurer, that she has actually written clues as to where this thing is. It's all completely inadvertent, but he doesn't think so. So kidnaps her, takes her to some place down in the Pacific Ocean to look for this thing, and Dash is in hot pursuit to make a rescue. And he also actually hires a guy who is much more qualified for this, adventurer, and I think that's Jack Trainer, played by Brad Pitt.
Do you notice how I usually struggle with recalling names?
That one you did.
This one I'm not.
No. And he's really the guy who can do this.
He can do it all.
And he makes Indiana Jones look like an amateur.
Yeah.
So he and Dash are down there trying to save her, and chaos ensues. This is a movie that I would define as fine. It's fine.
I would define it as fun.
It's fine. It's not great. It's not awful. It's fine. And I've got to the point where I want more than fine. And I know why you liked it. But for me, it was like, okay, there's some good ideas here. You've got to expand on them. And that was a big problem that I had. Their chemistry is kind of there and then kind of not.
Oh, I think it was there. Think about that dancing scene. Oh my God.
That came later.
I know.
Initially, it wasn't there.
That's because she had no interest in him.
It does develop throughout the film. So yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But I just wanted it to be more funny, a bit more adventurous. For me, it was okay.
Okay, I had a lot of fun with this. I thought those little parenthetical quips that each of them had to say, like the stone sphincter, and other just kind of off the cuff, seemingly off the cuff.
I'm glad
comments.
that you said stone sphincter without any sort of context at all. That's great.
It was in reference to
a cave, yes.
And she had to squeeze into this little itty bitty cave. No. It was just pure fun to me. I laughed almost the entire time. It made fun. I know you did. You were sitting next to me. It's probably driving you nuts. It was just laugh out loud funny. And sometimes we need that kind of film.
I agree.
And I actually think it was a little bit too long. And you were talking about expanding on things. What things would you have them expand upon?
Well, it just seemed as though I wanted more with the assistant.
Talk about
Divine Randolph.
Randolph, yeah.
Yeah, she made a splash with They Call Me Dolomite, a part that we both loved, and she shows up.
She stood out in that film.
Yeah,
and she stands out
here too as Loretta's assistant, and she's in hot pursuit too, going down there. And I loved her because she got laughs without pandering.
Yeah.
Unlike, my favorite, Tiffany Haddish, who had to go over the top to get laughs. This woman just played her character, knew how to underplay things against certain situations. Very effective. I wanted more from her.
Right.
And that relationship that she had with the author.
Okay.
Because I just felt as though that was a missed opportunity.
Okay. They did touch upon that, and I would have been happy to expand on that a little bit more.
And more Brad Pitt.
Absolutely more
Brad Pitt. I want a whole movie.
Okay, so Sandra Bullock is going to be in a movie coming up called
Bullet
Train. Yeah,
right.
and that's with Brad Pitt as well, and that looks like another adventure, high action comedy, romantic comedy.
Hopefully
film.
Better.
I enjoyed this. I think you should go see it. I think this would be a lot of fun. Is it streaming or is it only in theaters?
It is not. And in my written review, I said that I thought, and we talked about this, I said I thought it would play better at your home with friends after you've had a few drinks.
Yep. I think this is a perfect girls' martini night. And if
so
you'd like to come over, just let me know.
Or find a theater that gives you martinis, it probably will be a better film.
It'll be a fun film no matter what, but definitely girls' night out with a cocktail or two.
So something else, though, coming out this week that's not as much fun. Infinite Storm.
No, not fun at
not
all.
Fun
not
at
fun
all.
at
With
all.
Naomi Watts.
Oh my gosh. And she is really taking on, at least the two movies that are being released with her this year, taking on basically solo films, with The Desperate Hour, where she plays a mom whose child is involved in a school shooting, and she is stuck out in the woods because she went on a really long run. Wasn't a big fan of that movie. I am a much bigger fan of this movie, Infinite Storm, where she plays Pam Bales, who is not just a hiker, but she is part of a mountain rescue team up in New Hampshire in the White Mountains. She decides when the whole thing starts, you just get this feeling like she's reclusive. She's into herself. Something tragic has happened. You have that air of tragedy from the moment this starts. She goes out early in the morning. She wants to bag a peak, a summit of a mountain, and she knows what she's doing. She's got her backpack. She's got everything she needs with her. She pulls into a parking lot, talks with some other hikers who came down, and there's one sole car in the parking lot, and those other hikers haven't seen that person. Right away, she's concerned, which means we're concerned, especially if we read the premise of the film, which is this hiker and she have to get down off the mountain. She hikes along. She is an expert. She's following a trail that I could never see in a million years, and I consider myself a pretty good hiker, but you couldn't see a trail to save your life. She's finds a set of tracks in the snow made by sneakers, and commenting to herself, oh my gosh, I can't believe these are made by sneakers. She knows that now she's not a hiker anymore. She is part of a rescue mission. And she finds this hiker at the top on the ridge line of a mountain, half frozen in like a lotus position, and unable to rouse him. She does what she needs to do. Her training kicks into place, and she is going to save this man. His reasons for being there are revealed later, as are her pieces of information that were missing along the way too, that brought her to this state physically and cognitively. It's chilling. It is absolutely, literally and figuratively chilling. As we watch them try and trudge through the snow, we see this man. She calls him John. He can't remember his name or doesn't want to tell her his name. He wants to die. He's got frostbite. He tries to kill himself in yet another way. And Chuck and I, we both agreed I'd have left him there. I would not have gone to risking my own life. And I think that's one of the rules. You don't risk your life and jeopardize your own life for somebody else. That's exactly what she was doing. There are a couple Hollywood moments toward the end of the movie. A couple. But that whole... No, not that many. No, I will wholeheartedly disagree with you. In the very beginning, she falls into a tree well, and what she does to get out of that tree well is extraordinary. And my husband fell into a tree well skiing, and he thought he was going to be a Chrissicle the next spring when they found him. So a lot of the stuff that she did was actual survival skill tactics, but at the end, there are some other events that happen that there's no way that they would survive. So I did take issue with a few of those. We discussed those. I don't want to give that away in case you watch this film, which is beautiful, cinematically stunning, and the sound design is gorgeously done. You feel like you are in the woods. You feel that peace, that sense of solitude that you get only in the woods. And then you have the wind coming in as the weather changes, and you feel like you're a part of that experience until the very end. And I will give you that. Would you like to say anything? You're just sitting there.
No, how could I interrupt this flow?
I know, I agree. Good choice. So you can see this one. This is streaming on.
Wrong.
No,
it
it's in theaters only?
And it's a movie that they should play on IMAX to really give us the full experience of this storm. But of course, that would only make sense. There are some things that I had problems with at the end as far as the nature, but the biggest problem I had at the end was the manipulation of facts that occur. I guess I shouldn't give anything away, but when you read the true story that happened, you see that the last 20 minutes, they take some great artistic license. When you have fact-based films, you do take artistic license. That's part and parcel of what has to happen when you're translating real-life events to the screen. My problem is I thought they went a little too far with that, but of course I'm an old curmudgeon, so what do I know? No.
True. Okay, I'm glad you said that instead of me.
I can. I read your mind. I like short stories.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the next. X is what you saw, and I did not. It's a horror film, and I think that was the South by Southwest, wasn't it?
Yeah, and definitely not your cup of tea.
Okay.
Not your cup of tea, but very well done by Ty West. It's a guy who's cut his teeth on a few other horror films. He made a great ghost story called The Innkeepers. Very atmospheric, and that's one of the reasons I like this guy is because even though X does get graphically violent, he is very conscious of setting up the mood. He's very conscious of setting up a creepy tone before things just all go to hell. And X is, it takes place in the 70s, so he replicates the 70s film style of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're B-grind movies. I mean, the image looks grainy and cheap. The characters are reflective of that too. If you've seen the first Chainsaw Massacre film, you're going to get what he's doing, because it's almost, I wouldn't say a direct remake, but he's taking a similar premise and he's doing some other things with it. And he also replicates the look of adult films from that era, because you got a group of people going to this remote farm in Texas where they rent a barn and they're going to make an adult film, thus the title X. What they don't anticipate, though, is the elderly couple that lives at this farm where they're going to make this film, and they're not too into what they're doing. Let's just say that. Let's say they just have a different view of
generational gap, huh?
Generation and what film should be about. The bloodletting begins. As I say, this is not for the regular viewer, but if you're a horror film connoisseur, you'll really appreciate what West is doing here as far as, like I say, the tone, the mood, what he's doing with the film and the aesthetics. And, he follows the pattern right along until we get our final girl, played by Mia Goth, who is in Emma and a couple other things. I really like her. I really enjoyed it. It's trending quite positively. I think it's at 96% positive on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
So if you like the horror genre X, you could do much, much worse.
And just real quickly, I'm going to just gloss over this because I want to talk about Oscar stuff. 7 Days is playing in theaters in LA and New York, and it's about two Indian young people, a boy and a girl, who are set up on a blind date through a dating website that their mothers are on. This is an Indian culture kind of thing. They talk about stylistic borrowing. The filmmakers borrow a little bit of When Harry Met Sally and doing interviews with Indian couples who have been set up, who have been matched, who have happy ever after kinds of stories.
Cute.
It is set in the very beginnings of the pandemic, and they are stuck together, and they are so different. The guy wants only a traditional bride, and the girl wants only, just have fun and just spur around, and doesn't really care about the whole Indian tradition thing. When they are stuck in lockdown together, they realize that they got to make this work somehow, and it is the worst first date possible, but 7 days goes by. Check this out in theaters if you're in LA or New York, and then hopefully it'll be expanding nationwide and streaming soon, because this was a lot of fun. I got to interview the co-writers and the director and the star of the film. That'll be on WCIA TV on CI Living next week, so check that out. So those are the 4 films we wanted to talk about. It's double, I guess it's 8, but we only have 4. But there are 8 categories that are not being addressed in live mode for the Oscars.
And I'm surprised they're still adhering to this tactic, because I know there was a big outcry among filmmakers and the community, and they're not budging on this. They're going to deliver this show in 3 hours, come hell or high water.
That was a good
ABC, great film. ABC obviously is the tail that's wagging this dog, because the ratings have been horrible the past few years. They shouldn't count last year because that was an exception, but they do. And the Academy, it depends on the money that they get for the rights to telecast. So they're going to do what ABC wants, so those categories are out. Well, they're not out, but we won't see them live.
Well, I guess what they're doing is they're going to tape them beforehand, and then they're going to cut them into the broadcast.
Right. Probably as we're going to commercial, they'll say, best costume.
And then it fades out,
imagine you've been working your entire career.
I don't think it's right.
And then but you don't get that moment of going up and everyone's there and you get that.
Not only that.
Criminal.
Okay, so let's say in each category there are 5 people that are nominated. So we don't even have hair and makeup in this one. This is going to be, broadcast. So we've got 5 groups of people that are nominated, and the only one you're going to see is the winner. How about those other 4 that earned that nomination? They're not going to get this recognition. This is a tale of recognition, not just of winners, but of recognition for work well done. It kind of angers me. I would be really upset if I were any of those people.
They make mistakes every year.
Because we're not in charge.
I know. You call us, please. We've said
We'll
this.
help. We will help.
They do this, but then they got some stupid things going on this year.
How many songs are they going to perform?
I don't know. Hopefully none, because I've said that for years. You don't do that. If
there's 20 minutes right there.
But there's also a poll going on in which people vote for their favorite film, and someone has taken control of that. And the leading film was this obscure Johnny Depp film that came out earlier this year. So people are
yeah,
sabotaging
okay.
this, which thank you for that. Let's keep going on that.
Right.
But I mean, you do stupid things like that. And I don't know who they think they're going to pull in by doing things like that. Which viewers are they going to pull in? I'm sorry, gang, Oscar. Young viewers really don't care about you. And so you need to take care of us and the people who really care about film.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and they also combined, there used to be 24 categories. Now we're down to 23 because they combined the sound.
Yeah.
Which,
sound editing and sound design.
Which can make or break a film.
But let me tell you something. If you go back and you look at years past, usually it's the same film
for both?
that wins both
Okay.
of them. So
Okay.
it's like, okay, it makes sense that they do
Okay.
this. I don't have a big problem with that.
Okay.
So are we doing something this year or not? It is completely up to you.
Yes,
Because
we
you're
are.
on a 0 for what, 3 or 0 for 4
I think I'm 0
streak
for 4.
here.
Yes,
So I mean,
I lose every year.
I mean, I don't want. I'm not forcing you into anything.
No, you're not. And I think what we're going to do this year, if this is good with you, is I've set up some parameters. We're only gonna vote on like the top 10.
Okay.
I think is what I came up with, categories. And then we have the smaller categories as tiebreakers.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
All right.
And we'll see if I'm going to eat, I don't know, deep fried turds and
No,
chicken livers or something.
Wouldn't be that bad. Wouldn't be that bad.
I ate the livers.
Although I do know what you're going to be eating. So
I do too.
you do?
I do too.
Oh, you mean if I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. Good enough. All right. So next week check in. We'll see if Pam is the winner or not, or well, we know how this is going to turn out. And we'll talk about a couple more movies that we've seen. One that I really liked with Chris Pine called The Contractor. I'm pretty sure she didn't like it, but we'll talk about that next week and a couple others as well.
Great. Thanks for tuning in. Real Talk with Chuck and Pam.